Hey everyone, once been here at the Battle Report. My Beastmen versus Ogre Kingdoms army, a rematch of a game I had just a few games ago. Rolled the meeting engagement. He had to deploy first. So starting on the left, he's got Scrap Launcher, a couple Mournfang, a unit of 9 bulls with his general. His general is level 4 spellcaster with the Lord of the Great Maw. He's got an item that if he inflicts 1 wound on the unit, he gets +2 to cast every spell that turn. And then the lore attribute is if you get a spell off, you get +1 to cast. So he is often at +6 or +7 every time he casts a spell. Very nice build there. And he has a 4 board save. He's got a unit of 7 Iron Guts with the Battle Standard Bearer. He's the 2nd rank unpainted model, or the unprimed model. Armor of Destiny, 4 Lead Belchers, and then a bunch of stuff off the table. Noblars, more Ogres, a level 2 Lore of Heavens, and an Iron Blaster. So facing him, starting on the left, I've got a horde of Bestigors, the Flaming Banner, Minotaurs full command. The champion has the sword of +1 to hit. Right behind them, I've got the Herdstone, which is really bad placement. I need to move that thing back so it doesn't get in my way. This is not how I wanted to deploy my troops, but I misplaced the Herdstone. Anyway, just to the left of the Herdstone is a level 4 caster. He's got those Skull of Arcos or something, so he gets +1 to cast for himself and for every wizard within 6 inches. He also has a healing potion. I have 2 level 1s, both with the Lore of Shadow, and they both rolled spells that I kept instead of switching to the signature spell, which is unusual for me. But one has Occam's, and one has the template initiative test spell. I'm blanking out what it is. Anyway, then I've got a horde of Gore with my Battle Standard Bearer. He's the very front row, far left. He's got the +1 strength banner. So he's got a 2-up armor save, no ward save. He's somewhat vulnerable, but that whole unit has +1 strength. Then I've got a Tuskor Chariot and 2 Razor Gore. So I've got another Tuskor Chariot that rolled such that they couldn't deploy. And then I've got a unit of 16, 2-hand weapon, no command, Gore in ambush. It's kind of a weird build, but that's just the points I had left. So we go to Ogre's turn 1. He brings on the stuff that couldn't deploy to begin the game and moves up a little bit and turns his Mournfang around. Just turn around and walk him to the other side of the building, get away from my Bestigors. I thought that was actually a pretty smart move. And there's his Iron Blaster staring down my lines. Yeah, there's that. And we go to the shooting phase. He unloads on my Tuskor Chariot, does 3 wounds out of 4, so I stick. Now this unit's probably going to die pretty soon, so the most I think I can hope for is maybe get some impact hits somewhere. So I charge my Chariot and a Razor Gore into his Lead Belchers, and they hold. And then when I charge my second Razor Gore in, he decides to flee. And I was just kicking myself. I wonder if I should have just stuck with a 2 when he'd already held and not risked it. So anyway, when he fled, my Razor Gores failed their redirection. My Tuskor Chariot didn't, so it's going to go into the unit of bulls with his level 2 Lore of Heavens caster. I'll do some impact hits, and then he's going to kill me. This I was very excited about. Got a horde of Gore, +1 strength, made a long charge right into these Iron Guts with his Battle Standard Bearer. And I just have I'm thinking I've got a ton of attacks, rerolling to hit. I'm at strength 4, and if I get lucky in the magic phase, I might be at strength 8 with Occam's. That's a 7 on their leadership profile, +1 strength banner. And very excited. I think I'm going to blow through the middle of his lines, get out of range out of sight for any counter charges, and get a real good start to this game. Here on the left, both of these units tried to charge his general's unit, and both of them failed. And I brought my Chariot on just to contest his Scrap Launcher, so he can't just sit here and shoot at me the whole game. So during the magic phase, I got Occam's Mindraiser off. Very excited with how this game is going. My level 1 with that spell got sucked into the void and put a wound on the Minotaurs, but I think that's a small price to pay. And then we go to the combat phase, and I was flabbergasted. I did nothing. Yeah, I think I did 3 wounds. With all those rerollable hits, strength 8, I did 3 wounds. he did 10 wounds in return, and I was steadfast and I stuck, and I'm floored. I don't know. One thing I did notice was when he moves his character up, it knocks several of my guys out of combat, which I think is a smart move. And because his frontage is so small, I had a lot of guys that just couldn't get in combat on the other side as well. So I still had, 2 attacks each on the front row, front rank, and then 2 ranks, all at strength 8, re-rolling. But yeah, that didn't work. So we go to his turn, and he just used the dual counter charge into that unit, and that is not going to go well for me. If you're trying to learn how to play Beastmen, just keep this image in mind and don't do this. So Scrap Launcher charges into my best wars. I was really surprised about this because I just assumed, I'm going to easily win this combat. But actually, it's pretty smart because I didn't easily win combat. He had a charge, a flank, and a lot of high strength attacks. So his Iron Blaster kills both of my Razor Gores. And then after combat, yeah, he easily destroyed my BSB's unit. I am really at a severe disadvantage now. No rerolls and a pretty big point sink off the board. After combat, he did win combat, and had I broken, I would have probably conceded the game. But anyway, so I stuck, reformed to face him just to, try to finish this thing off. On my turn, the Chariot couldn't see the Scrap Launcher, so I just moved him up. The Minotaurs charged his Iron Guts with the BSB, and they fled, and I failed my redirect, and so just had to go after him. So now my Minotaurs are sitting there just waiting to be countercharged. Vestigores beat the Scrap Launcher but couldn't kill it, and I did not want to pursue it, so I just reformed to face the main lines. So on his turn, these bulls with his general charge into my Minotaurs, and I'm curious how this is going to turn out. I've had this in the last time we played. He charged in and beat my Minotaurs. This time, I have an extra guy in there. Sorry I keep on yawning, guys. Jeez. And I think I should do okay in that combat. Otherwise, he looks like this. You can see his BSB's unit rallied, which was not a surprise. And otherwise, he's just moving around. And his Scrap Launcher rallies. That's going to be a real pain. And after combat, yeah, Minotaurs ripped up on those guys. I was very excited to see it. I lost a couple guys, but you know what? I'll take it. I couldn't run them down, but I didn't expect to, only going D6. Here's the unit that had an ambush. Remember 16 gore? I rolled a 2 or a 3 every turn, so they never came on. I think at the end of the game, we realized we forgot to roll it for the last turn, so I rolled it and they came on, but who freaking cares at that point? It would have been really nice to have a unit come up in his rear right now as he was doing all these fleas. So anyway, it looks like that. If you look at the... So we go to my turn. Let's see, the Minotaurs charge his general's unit, and he flees. My Bestigores charge his Mournfang, and they flee, which was, really smart. Again, the Chariot, I would have loved to charge his Scrap Launcher, but I had positioned him such that he couldn't see him. Go to Ogre's turn 4. Everything rallies. The damn Scrap Launcher comes in my back again. I swear, this thing... Beautiful battle lines. My opponent's done a great job of just keeping out of combats. Like I said, he knows he's up ahead on points. He's got my BSB. He's got a level 1 caster, 2 Razor Gore, a Horde of Gore. He's well up on points. There's no reason for him to force any fighting. One thing he did here, I was hiding behind the Herdstone with my mages, and so his unit really couldn't make a charge. So he just charged his level 2 Lore of Heavens out of the unit into my guy. On my previous magic phase, I tried to get off Transformation of Kadan, but he dispelled it. I liked the idea of making a dragon out of my guy. Say, charge me now. So after the combat, I do no wounds to him. He does 2 wounds to me. Lone characters are steadfast in woods, so I'm steadfast on 8, and I pass it. We go to my turn. I drink the healing potion, and my plan is on magic phase, throw 6 dice at Transformation of Kadan, and that would be so much fun. Oh, I just love the thought of that. We're still locked in combat here. And otherwise the board looks like that. Let's see, my Minotaurs charged and he fled. Yeah. Yeah, the story of this game. It looks like they charged his general's unit, and then they charged the lead belchers, and he fled both of them. So it took the chariot into the rear of this scrap launcher, going to get rid of it once and for all. And yeah, I got Transformation of Quindan, and then he threw 6 dice and dispelled it. And then he beat me in combat. I was steadfast, and he ran me down. So it was a nice try. Didn't work. My level 1 fails his panic test and runs away a little bit. Ogre's turn 5, he dual charges his Mournfang and his BSB/lead Iron Guts units into my Minotaurs. And that's going to be a tough one. I've got a lot of Strength 5 attacks, but that's going to be a tough one. If you look at the top middle, his general's unit rallies. They're a lot weaker than they started the game with, but he still has full points with them. After combat, I was actually pretty happy with how these rolls went. Killed one of the Mournfang. His other units depleted. My Minotaurs are looking weak, but they held. Matter of fact, not only did they held, they didn't lose combat. It was a draw in combat, so they didn't lose their frenzy. So Beastmen turn 5. Just so you know, we thought that this was turn 6. So, here we go. My level 1 at the bottom is still fleeing. It didn't rally, but I don't need him to rally. Bestigors finally get into combat and go into the flank of that Mournfang. And this was just a really interesting phenomenon. I really need for the Mournfang not to die. Because if he dies, the combat res with the Minotaurs, all that I'm going to get are the wounds that were done to the Mournfang, which would be 3. Whereas if he stays alive, let's say I do 2 wounds to him, plus a charge, a flank, 3 ranks, I could probably beat both of these units through combat res. So, but of course I passed my fear test, I passed my Primal Fury test, and we kill the Mournfangs. The Minotaur, my Standard Bearer, is the only one surviving. He lost the combat, but he stuck. And that's how the game ended. So it looks something like that. So points-wise, it was an absolute slaughter of the Beastmen. In terms of models who were killed or whatever, I mean, the Beastman did okay. A lot of his units are depleted, but nothing actually died. Not a scrap launcher, Mournfang. I think that's it. And I've got a ton of stuff off the table. So kudos to my opponent. I think he played the Ogres really, really well. Had very smart fleas, some clever builds. It was just a really good game. I don't like that I put the Bestigors on the flank and then allowed the scrap launcher to keep them tied up all game. So I need to do a better job of keeping my army together. 2 hordes is somewhat unwieldy. I think if I'm going to do that, they need to keep them, make sure they're into a lot of combats. But anyway, that's it. We're still figuring out the Beastmen. Having a lot of fun with them. It's funny, my first 6 games with them, I think, I won every game. And I was wondering if Beastmen were just too broken. And now I've lost, I don't know how many games in a row with my Beastmen. So, yeah, it's fun learning this. If you remember from my early battle reports, it took me a while to figure out Bretonnians too. So I'm not too worried about it. We'll get them figured out one of these years. That's it. Hope you enjoyed it.